So you're gonna get a fire commentary from me because I just wanted to upload a YouTube video. And I think this is good at showing some of the mistakes you can make as fire, particularly relating to Flame Strike in AoE. Certainly wasn't played perfectly, which is why this is a commentary, not a actual VOD. It's also Neltharus, so you do a bit of a boring thing where you gather everything up. So we just, tank ran around everywhere in the first area to gather all the mobs up so we can hit them with these chains. And you can see like nothing happened in the interim. But then after this, right, we just all hit them with chains except for like the tank. Then they all die, and now there's only 2 mobs. So I didn't use my trinket or anything. I did combust, which was probably not the move. Not really sure. It ended up working out fine though, and I elected to just save my trinket pot for the next bowl, where it'll be mobs that won't instantly die. There, I just shimmered when I got grabbed as well, which was not ideal, but I think I'm just playing the normal fire build. I don't know if there's multiple ones for M+. This seems to be the standard one, just like the top one on sub-creation. This is where things get weird. It's around some of the hardcast flame strikes. Since flame strike just gives you its hot streak instantly, you can't queue a flame strike off it, and so I think here I tried to. No, okay, I did good. Also, overusing Phoenix Flames inside Combust near the end of it. You really want to be ensuring you save them. So like there, I just converted my Flame Strike during my hardcast, and it caused me to lose out on a double Flame Strike. Because that's just not a thing you can do. So, also, I don't really know how you're supposed to use Shifting Powers Fire. Ideally, you don't use Ink Bust, I know that much, but I don't know if you care about Meteor CDR or anything. So I just have been, obviously I let my Field of Burn fall off there. This is a pretty standard SKB though, what I just did here. Except, you see how I have 3 charges of Fire Blast, I'm just sitting on them? I used a Phoenix Flames at the very end of that SKB for quite literally no reason, because I could have just Fire Blasted. So you really want to be mindful of that. There I was DBing to like actually interrupt stuff, but here I do the thing where you can't double Flame Strike again. But don't worry, I'll get better at that as the key goes on. So we made quite a few kind of very bad mistakes here. There's also no reason for me to Scorch there. I could have just Fire Blasted. This is a pretty standard SKB opener again. And here, I think I'm just kind of saving my Phoenix Flames for the boss. But what you really want to look out for is not overcapping on CDR of any of your abilities, which I'm a bit of a culprit of, with how short of a CD and the CDR from Phoenix Flames and such. So here, I should have used Phoenix Flames before entering Combust. I should have Phoenix Flames into my Fireball opener, but that's okay. You see here, I just overcap on Fire Blast, kind of quite significantly. But I am in Lust in PI, or no PI, I guess. That was bad. I shouldn't have converted that before doing my Shifting Power, because I knew I was going to Shifting Power anyway, and so it caused me to munch an SKV stack. So what I would have instead wanted to do is just not Fire Blast before using Shifting Power, so I just had heating up when I was Shifting Powering, if that makes sense. You can see here I'm at 3 Phoenix Flames charges, so I really want to use Phoenix Flames over Scorch or anything. But here, since my Combust is ending, I use Scorch instead. so I can have these Phoenix Flames for outside of Combust. The Field of Burn did drop though, which was not ideal. And then here, I don't want to Phoenix Flames because I have the debuff and I want to save them for outside Combust again, so I can, as you can see, build to an SKB quite fast. Now we're going to miss my Meteor. That also wasn't a good Phoenix Flames with everything I've just told you. And this is probably not how you're supposed to use that, but I wanted to combust, so yeah. I would not recommend shifting power into combust. I probably would have just instead held that shifting power until after the combust happened. But see here again, once I reach towards the end of my combust, I'm just avoiding using my Phoenix Flames if possible. That was a little hectic, so I didn't end up using Meteor. Bit unfortunate. But again, a lot of Phoenix Flames outside combust. As little fireballs as I can possibly do. This is obviously an evoker Shadow Priest key, so now we're gonna do the chains again, and this is gonna be a kind of no damage pull too. I'm not close to combust, but since these things are, and I'm not gonna use combust here because they're about to instantly die, but I will just meteor for fun. Just because there's a lot of mobs, and it's not very good in single target. And yeah, they're all dead. So this isn't a particularly fun dungeon, kind of for the fact that a lot of the time you're not even the one killing the mobs, but it's okay. There I did the opener, as you should, which is just using Phoenix Flames before you enter Combust. Ideally the one I just used would be the last Phoenix Flames I used in this Combust. But I use another one here right before it ends, which doesn't make much sense. Here's the shifting power I'm questionable about, because I have Meteor ready, but I shifting powered anyway. Technically, you would want to save this lust for your next Combust. I opted to use it for whatever reason, because he's about to enter his damage phase. Might have also been good to save Meteor for this, but I don't know. There, I ended up munching an SKV stack. I probably could have used Fire Blast at the very end of that fireball that I'd used to enter Combust, and then I could have saved myself from having to do that in order to not drop Field of Burn. If your question is it better to maintain Field of Burn or munch an SKV stack? Or not munch an SKV stack? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, actually. So I'm pretty sure it's not drop Field of Burn. But the actual answer is don't end up in that situation because it's an avoidable situation, right? Like, for instance, in the SKV I did right before I combust, I just shouldn't have used Fire Blast as aggressively, so that I was still able to use them at the start of my combust. And that's just pooling. One of the things that's hard for fire and people like coming into fire is a lot of the time there's technically hard set rules for everything, but it's kind of dynamic. Makes it hard at times. So here, I don't want to be scorching. I would have rather been using Phoenix Flames because I have 3 charges and I'm overcapping and I let my PF thing drop. So I just sat on 3 charges for a very long time, wasting all my natural CDR, and I do have Phoenix Reborn as well. So again, I'm sitting on 3 charges. Here with SKB, it would probably have been better just to save them entirely because it's so short that I'm about to end up out of Combust again. And then, you can see I'm still flush with a bunch of charges. It didn't even need to fireball at all to go back into my next SKB. Here, I don't know why I wasn't able to double pyro. It's kind of weird. I think it's because I guess I got PI'd, so difference in haste. Kind of weird this guy PI'd here, but we are going to kill all these mobs with the chains again. Welcome to Neltharus, right? But luckily, yeah, I got an SKB to pad a little bit here. And this guy's, the only one left alive, so killing him. I maybe could save the Phoenix Flames for once we get to the top here, but I don't think it matters too much. This is the part where I kind of miss Firestarter, because I'm going to enter this next poll with 6 SKV stacks, and I could have Firestarter valued up to 8 pretty easily. I could still do that, because I do have Phoenix Flames and full Fire Blast and DB here, but I am just going to go ahead and enter Combust, I believe. It's better to do it this way too for Meteor, which I think I do. This is the proper AoE opener right there. Where you do the Phoenix Flames, then Meteor, Scorch, Fire Blast, and Combust. It's actually quite satisfying. I like it. Here, that's what you would want to do properly to avoid, munching your fire, or to do a double flame strike. You have to wait for it to hit and then do another Fire Blast flame strike. It's been efficient. I mean, you can see the gap there. If you had better reaction time than me, it would be better. So here I really want to use Meteor off CD, but the target wasn't in line of sight, so it ended up not getting used. So you could see me pressing the button. And I end up using it there when I'm non-combust. I probably could have just saved it, to be honest. It did crit though, which was lucky. Love to see it. Crit for 360k too. Goddamn. Juicy. Here I'm fire blasting like a little too much for some reason. Old habits die hard, I suppose. I don't like how tight this is to refresh your field of burn in the scenarios where you can't double flame strike. Not being able to double flame strike in general just, feels wrong. But see, so here my field of burn's gonna, or I actually munch hot streak, which you definitely shouldn't do to maintain your field of burn. So I just should have not DB'd in that scenario, I suppose. And should have Fire Blast instead. I DB'd to keep my Fire Blast charges for SKB, but if it ends up with you munching a heat up or dropping field of burn, it's just not worth it. This, I think, would have been good to do a Scorch Fire Blast double Flame Strike instead of using the Phoenix Flames, because, I did just get out, and now I am using Fireball, Scorch, and I could have maintained more. I also just munched an SKB stack, so. And that Storming kept me. And here I somehow ended up not. Oh, because I Pyroblasted, I guess. That's how I didn't munch a Heen up there, even though I did the whole thing of converting midcast. I need to do a better job of using my Phoenix Flames earlier in my combust when I'm capped, and not so much late. Avoiding the cast late is a really good. Here, I probably should just drop the meteor after my initial one, so that I didn't drop Field of Burn. The more you can. So when you're in Combustus Fire, you want to avoid overcapping your CDR as much as possible. Here I'm saving SKD for the boss, by the way. And so ideally, you wouldn't be sitting on things like PF at 3 charges, you won't be sitting on Fire Blast at 3 charges, but you also don't want to overspend them, and that's where the Scorch and Fireball weaving comes in. But then you also don't want to really spend your PF later in Combust if you don't need to, because you want to save them for when you're out of Combust, if you will be out of Combust for a significant period of time. Here I should just be staying, a lot closer to the boss, which I've moved towards. And you can see I have 3 charges of PF, so even though I'm pretty late in Combust, I should still be using it. Especially because I'm going to go into another SKB. But there, I probably should have held it. Doesn't end up mattering. And again, this was a mistake, right? Because actually it's fine, ends up being fine, because I can still Fire Blast because I didn't get heating up from that Power Blast that I'd used to convert to my 8th stack. But if I had, it would have put me in a really awkward situation where I had to munch again. So this is, again, the situation where I should have shifting powered when I was on the 7th stack and then use that Fire Blast to build to the 8th. But, you live and you learn. This is where it's pretty helpful to, watch your own VODs and such. Kind of surprised I managed to turn fast enough for that to go off. Like here, I'd rather save my PF than use it during Combust. Then afterwards, I have all these PFs to just build. Ideally, yep, Malice Rose of Fury, looking golden. I had to cancel that though, which means I'm now looking less golden. 5 Cauterize, so it's okay. It's also on me. Neat little trick you can do there, just invising if the guy is targeting you, and then no one gets any of them. That was a pretty bad Combust. I don't even think I did double pyro. It's quite weird, quite strange. I always liked entering Combust with Scorch though, so it's nice that it contributes to kindling now. And I think it's cool to do a Meteor and then Scorch, Fire Blast, double pyro Combust opener. And then, yeah, he walks into my Meteor, which was nice. Very nice of him. This is one of the reasons why you bring an Invoker, so they can just grip you. Get forward slightly. Not too slightly. Okay. We're just gonna... This is a pretty common pull, I think, now. You just pull those 2 guys back with the commander. I think I elect to just Ignite spread here, which Flame Striking is better on 3 targets, by the way, if you have the talents, which I do. But, this guy has a lot of health. The issue is, we also have a Shadow Priest, right? So we don't really need me to Ignite spread, because what ends up happening is this guy just dies really fast. This isn't something you have to be too mindful of, but, it's good to remember that Phoenix Flames does not spread. See, so again, I'm doing the shifting power. I'm delaying it till the 8th stack, which isn't bad necessarily. It's only bad if it causes me to munch my SKB, which would be if the preceding Pyroblast crit, right? Then here you can see I'm throwing Dragon's Breath in, so ensure that I don't, I have as many Fire Blasts as I can get for my SKB. I did drop my Field of Burn, and I dropped it to cast Meteor. What that just means is I should have not cast Meteor there. And here they have enough health that I definitely shouldn't be delaying my SKB. I mean, this thing has 10% health remaining. So delaying this wasn't really useful, but it's okay. Probably delayed there for like 15, 20 seconds. It's kind of crazy. And then I bully these people into pulling early because of my SKD, so I can get my SKD combust. But you know, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, right? Yeah, not really sure what happened right there. We're not gonna talk about it. I also should not be pyroblasting, but it's okay. I know fire doesn't really care what spoils it gets, but technically I definitely didn't want haste because I am in lust and PI already, so again, yeah, this is solely in the flame striking range, but I'm ethical, I guess. That's what we'll call it, and not an idiot. And then they all die. So great. And I still have combust ready for the next thing. And then I think they're dragging it back to the chains. I had to use mirror image because otherwise I was gonna get aggro and probably die. So also not gonna talk about that meteor. But yeah, I think only our tank ended up not using his chain on the previous pull, and the healer was maybe also supposed to not. But sorry. Here I start flame striking as you should. And then you see, hold my Phoenix Flames till SKP's over. This would be a great time for me to shifting power. Yeah, do it. Great. Love to see it. This is an issue because now I lose my field of burn, but there's nothing I can do about that, really. I swear, did I not? Maybe I didn't. I did Fire Blast during my shifting power. I just Fire Blasted too late, or too early, I suppose. So, kind of annoying, but it's its own set of challenges. It's different from, how Rune of Power made it harder to upkeep Field of Burn, Rune of Power, and Phoenix Flames itself. So, you just gotta get used to it. Still would prefer to be able to queue a Flame Strike each other. But that also comes with its own problems. Because right now, Scorch has like a little bit of travel time, and that's why that you can queue a double Pyroblast or double Flame Strike, even though technically Scorch should like hit instantly. But if it did hit instantly, you'd also encounter this problem where you can't double Pyro, you can't Flame Strike off Scorch. So the thing that happens though is whenever you end up like double scorching and execute, there's actually a bit of a delay between your hot streak or your pyro being sent, because it has that built-in delay to let you do the double pyro or double flame strike. So it also make that delay for flame strike in general. But when you're doing instant cast spells, it doesn't matter as much because most of the time you're not hard casting flame strike. And when you are and you want to queue a double flame strike, like you do in Medic Plus and AoE, when you're doing SKB, it would actually be beneficial. So that's probably kind of confusing. I didn't explain that very well, but yeah, that's okay. Probably would have been good to use Meteor during the damage amp. Here's the thing. I don't actually know what this damage amp is. It just makes you do big damage, right? So this is where it's nice to have Shimmer. And that should have been a Phoenix Flames, of course. So, and this also should have been Phoenix Flames. So I'm now heavily delaying it for no reason. You can see I've just sat at 3 stacks for quite a while. And I end up overusing them in my SKB, but it's fine because I get the 4-piece proc, which is good. This is a wonderful shifting power moment. But that was actually a really bad Phoenix Flames usage because now I'm out, even though my 4-set just procced. So, and then this is really bad. I should have delayed that like half a second, so I just got it with my combust. But using some defensives and now getting railed. Do you know how it goes? It was also pretty bad, but not too bad because I just wanted to get everything in the damn jump. So, and he's gonna die before I combust in, so we're gonna call it the right play. All right, then hopefully I show the overall meters or like what happened. Obviously, I was padding a little bit more than these people on some of these mobs, but then we killed the chains. I would like to not use Vessel and Mythic Plus anymore. I have like 40% base haste or something. It's kind of ridiculous. And I have like 4% verse. But yeah, and I was over pyroblasting during trash as well, which was not ideal. And you saw all the problems with Phoenix Flames that I was talking about. I honestly thought I would overcap Fireblast more often than I did. I thought that was a major problem, but it really only occurs when I'm getting like a bunch of haste. That's why it's nice to have like weak orders that show your Fireblast in the middle of your screen, but I play old school and have them down here. Which, by the way, if you want icons like this and like the weak order one, you can just download like clean dark icons off GitHub. It's very nice. I highly recommend it because this is just bartender. Otherwise, it looks like the trashy Blizzard ones that have like the gritty border around it. Anyway, hopefully you learned something. Leave any comments, questions down below. If I get around to it soon, I'll probably have a VOD review of like a plus 24 or 25 from another Frost Mage, which might give us some good things to look at.